Welcome to the preseason edition of the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Alabama 811. As we look ahead at the 2022 Samford football season, I'm your host, Kevin Blackwell, and of course each week this season I'll be joined by Samford head football coach, Chris Hatcher. Coach, the campus is coming back to life with students and faculty coming back, and that can mean one thing, right? It's time for football season. So over this off season, we know we've added a lot of new players, a lot of new faces, even on the coaching staff. Tell us and sum up spring and fall camp, how we're bringing these folks together for a team as we enter in the season.
Well, first of all, the new rules within the transfer portal, hit a lot of schools at our level very hard, and including ourselves. We lost some guys that played a lot of snaps for us last year that moved up a level, lost a lot of guys to graduation, and it particularly hit us hard because after the COVID year, our players who had the extra year, we had a slew of them, so we couldn't go sign anybody. So attrition hit us extremely hard, harder than most years, I predict in the future, just because of those two things. So we brought a lot of new faces in, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We have a new defensive staff led by Chris Boone, who's no stranger to the Southern Conference or the OVC, the FCS level. But the thing that's really been pleased me the most is how quickly our teams gelled together. And, with all the new faces, you come around our building, you would think these guys have been friends for a long time. So, number one, that bodes well for the type of players that we brought in, and it bodes well for the current members of the team that were returning and our staff for making sure that we have a good environment over at the Sullivan Cooney Fieldhouse. So right now, our expectations are high. Everybody's in a good mood. We're undefeated, ready to kick off Thursday night against a really, really good football team in Kennesaw State.
Well, let's talk about the offense. First of all, of course, the talk in the offseason has been on the quarterback position. It's hard to replace a guy like Liam Welch, a guy who's broke records and led the team so well. But we also know that quarterback position in your offense is a really critical component. So it's been good competition this offseason as you brought in a couple of transfers, had an injury this week. How are we looking heading into the Kennesaw State game at quarterback?
Well, we've been very fortunate to have Devlin Hodges and Chris Oladokin and Liam Welch, lead the way in the 7 years that I've been the coach. And I think that we have some very quality guys right now that, in a few years we're going to be, in the doldrums. How do we replace them? I really believe that. Nick Scalzo, transfer from Kentucky, he went down with a significant injury early in camp, and so he'll be out this season. Michael Hires, who will be a junior from Briarwood Christian School here in Birmingham, has looked really sharp. And then Quincy Crittenden, a walk-on. And then Cade Blackman, who will be a senior. Seems like he's been here a long time, is in the mix as well. And, he's really smart, has a great understanding of our offense. So we got some options there, and I think all of them are pretty good. And I think they'll all, whoever gets the chance to go in there against Kennesaw, I think we'll have a great day.
At quarterback, we'll have some guys to hand the ball to and throw to this season with skilled players coming back. Jay Stanton obviously had a great season last year at running back, brings some experience there. Tough to lose a guy like Montrell Washington. The good news is we do return Ty King, Chandler Smith, and Kendall Watson. Just talk about those guys and maybe some guys that you've been impressed with in the spring and in fall camp.
Well, I think Jay's had a really good camp, and I expect him to have a breakout year. I really do. He's played extremely well. Jabari Brooks, I think, is he's really come along. He's playing a little more center than he has been guard due to some depth issues there. I've been really pleased with him on the offensive line. Chandler Smith, he's a guy that can play a lot of different positions. Kendall Watson. DJ Rice, a transfer from Alabama, has come in, and Judd Cockett, a transfer from a wide receiver. Those have been the four standouts during camp. And then you throw J.R. Tranrino, another local product, in the mix. I think we got some good guys there at the front line. We just got to develop some depth. In case we were to need them as the season progresses.
Well, let's talk about the defense. You mentioned Coach Chris Boone does join the staff as defensive coordinator. Coach, talk about Coach Boone and what he brings to our defense and what type of maybe schematic changes that Samford fans might see this season on defense?
First of all, I think we'll be a little more multiple in what we do defensively, and I think we just have a little bit tougher, harder edge, if you will, about the way we play defense now, and you know, that goes strictly, put that on Coach Boone and the staff that he's brought in. So I've just been really pleased with the way those guys practice and the way they've been playing. So hopefully we'll be much improved on that side of the ball.
Well, the defense, of course, this success starts up front, and Samford returns preseason first-team all-conference player Nathan East, who's wearing the number 5 jersey this year, which is also a significant honor for Nathan.
Well, he's been one of our, you know, bell cows over on defense, and the team each year votes on the number 5 jersey, which is the highest honor a player could get. He's been playing well. We need him to have a big year. I think on defensive line, you got Tayberry and Seth Simmer, who played a lot of snaps last year. Joe Mara and Nick Jackson, some guys that have had good camps as well. So we really need to shine there on that defensive line. And then you got Noah Martin and Josiah Cotton, who have played a lot as well. And then the biggest thing is in the secondary, there's a lot of new faces over there that you'll be calling out a lot of names that you haven't called out before in a Samford uniform.
I have noticed you've been speaking well of the defensive backs. We do have a lot of new faces back there. One particular person I've heard you talk about is Huntington transfer Fred Flavors. Talk about his impact on the defense so far.
Well, I think that him and Trey Elston, transfer from Auburn, both of those guys have probably had the most consistent camp as far as in the secondary. Akeem Johnson played a lot last year for us, has been playing with. Torrance Pollard, we moved from receiver to corner, and he's been playing extremely well. We got some other guys in the mix there, but early on in camp, Fred he really looked good. So you play good at corner, you can do a lot more things defensively, and if you can lock up man to man, and hopefully we have some guys that can do that this year.
Well, let's talk about our special teams. We should be solid in that area, at least on the kicking side. We return field goal kicker Zach Williams, who made 13 out of 15 field goals last season. Of course, Bradley Porcelato returns at our punter position. Obviously, the question that a lot of Bulldog fans have this year, who's going to replace Montrell Washington there for our return game?
We'll probably do it by committee. I mean, right now we have 3 or 4 guys that are back there, doing a good job, and as good as Montrell was, we had some guys that executed the scheme on the front line and made some good blocks, to free him up. But that would be, I don't think the all-purpose yardage that he brought to the table, that's going to probably be the X factor this season to see if we can make that up. Maybe one guy steps up and can do it, but by committee, hopefully we can have some big plays in the return game.
Let's talk about our schedule this year. The Bulldogs open the season with Georgia on their mind. As FCS playoff team Kennesaw State Owls come to Samford on Thursday, September 1st, and then a road game against defending national champion, the Georgia Bulldogs. Coach, those 2 teams will get your attention pretty quick as you prepare for the season.
Well, I couldn't imagine anybody at our level having to start with 2 teams of the caliber of Kennesaw State and University of Georgia. Kennesaw is going to roll in here anywhere from ranked number 4 to number 6 in the country. They're a perennial playoff team. They're very big. They're very physical. Their style of play is hard to replicate at practice. They're very efficient on offense. You don't get many touches on your offense. So, we got to be opportunistic when we get the opportunity to get the ball. And then you go the next week, you play Georgia. Georgia is not Florida that we played last year. I mean, Georgia is one of the top 2 teams in the whole wide world right now when it comes to college football. So, we have our work cut out game 1 and 2, and we'll find out real quick what we're made of.
Well, Coach, we're looking forward to this season. I wish you all the best of luck.
I appreciate you, Kevin. Thank you.
That'll do it for the preseason edition of the Chris Hatcher Show, presented by Alabama 811.